Hey, it's BrainBucket8 here, and yet another Minecraft video, but this one's a little bit different than the last. I've been on for a little bit while now, trying to do things, but there had been another attack, essentially another griefing attack going on, that essentially destroyed a lot of stuff around my castle and around all this, and I've been trying my best to try and put it all back together and repair everything, which I'm doing a really good job. Luckily, luckily what they all they did with my castle was essentially just burn it, in which, due to the sheer amount of stone I have just for supports, I actually made it relatively easy to put back together. But still missing all my floors now. My staircase is gone. I've been trying, so I'm getting ready to start rebuilding that again. But yeah, it's for the interior. I'm back down to square one. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. Redstone system for the doors got destroyed again. Well, not again. Just the system for actually opening and closing the doors simply got obliterated. And the odd thing, which the lucky thing for me, is that I embedded all my walls with bedrocks to the point in which, so nobody in survival could destroy it. Considering when you spawn into the server, you're automatically given survival, and you have to actually be given creative by somebody else. It makes it easier to keep track of who's got creative and who's got survival. But I'm currently in the process of rebuilding it, although the town did definitely not survive nearly as well as I did. Tree of Wisdom got obliterated, as well as these three houses. The dock's not in all that great of condition, although to be fair, I haven't really cared all that much about the dock. I'll eventually put it back together. But yeah, the odd thing is that while there wasn't terrible, my castle's really the one thing that took the most amount of damage. Stuff here really didn't take all that much damage. It repaired a little bit so far, but honestly, there hasn't been that much damage to these. But the really weird part is the next two things that happened. Blush's house got destroyed again, but here's the interesting part. The inside was lined with bedrock, which, while you're in survival, you are incapable of destroying. It's indestructible, meaning that the person who destroyed Blush's house here was in creative. And also, here's the second interesting part. Town over here was left completely untouched. I've gone through this area here in town, and the things that were destroyed the first time during the first episode are still destroyed, but nothing else has been destroyed. Town's still pretty well in mint condition, and that's the weird part. I'm actually really curious as of why. Like, things are still in good condition here, and it's kind of scary. So, I'm right now currently in the process of making sure everything gets rebuilt over by the castle, but I'm actually kind of nervous because there's really kind of has been no destruction here. Like, even the one random house which seems to always get destroyed, despite the fact that nobody lives in it, is this one. And it's still in relatively decent condition. There's actually, like, all the repairs I've made to it last time I was in here to actually at least make it look a little bit nicer are still here. Like, it's still a house somebody could live in. And it's like all those repairs I made from the last run have been completely untouched. Although I am getting progressively more irritated every single time somebody decides to remove my waterfall. I want my waterfall. Yeah, but it's odd that everything would be left still intact. Now, I'm here's the big thing. It could be one of three different options. Either someone on the server who decided to go off and destroy my house, which I have zero idea as of why. Second possibility, someone managed to get on the server, which we still have zero idea how they managed to do so, but okay. Um, in which that would explain why my house had been burnt. A flint and steel still relatively easy to get a hold of. And honestly, in survival, there's only so much damage you can do within a short amount of time. Um, but that doesn't explain why the bedrock in this house had been destroyed. And also, if another person had managed to get on, it doesn't explain why town is still in relatively in perfect condition, because spawn is actually around in this area in here, not over by my castle. Meaning that person had worked their way all the way from town to my castle, and at least had a relatively good idea where it was. So I honestly have zero idea who had caused it, but honestly I do find it irritating with the people who do somehow manage to get on, because they always grief. They'll always destroy the world. Like honestly, I'm gonna say this now. If you manage to somehow randomly get onto the server, honestly, if you decide not to grief and not to cause issues, you're a lot less likely to be noticed. You can play as long as you wish, as long as you're noticed, as long as you don't grief. Quite simply because of this. I pay attention to destruction. I pay attention to things that happen. And if you don't destroy anything, I will never notice. And honestly, frankly, I don't care. Because if you're not causing an issue, then I won't take action. But as soon as an issue happens, I'll take action. Because as long as I'm around to notice it, which frankly, people on the server have been getting really bad at not telling me things that I need to know, but okay, fine. So yeah. I'm really curious as of right now. But yeah, I'm gonna replace all the previous like bedrock lining that was in here, because this has gotten destroyed yet again. Eventually I'll rebuild this house into something a lot nicer, but I'm actually probably going to just straight up move him to a different location, because one, LPS Love decided to build this path leading all the way to it, which just makes it even easier for him to be found. But second thing is that honestly, this location's not nearly as nice as it used to be, considering how many times it's been destroyed. The appeal really does wear out fast when you've been destroyed about 8 squillion times. So yeah, hopefully, if somebody decides to destroy this again, the bedrock should still be intact, unless it's been somebody else. But I'm getting the sense that a large majority of what happened because of a flint and steel. Flint and steel, I'm guessing, was the major reason why things got destroyed. Because, like, a large majority of the destruction just shows the marks. like this tree. This tree here had obviously been set on fire because otherwise things like this would not be sitting floating in the air. So obviously it had been attacked with the flint and steel, and you can say the same for all these houses here as well. A little less on this one because this one had been pretty well almost completely obliterated. Yeah. But yeah, I got out lucky because, frankly, all this stuff in my structures are all relatively easy to replace and rebuild. Having the bedrock lined walls in order to actually prevent anybody from bursting through the actual castle walls. And frankly, due to the sheer size and amount of cobblestone I have on my on the actual main keep. Because what made it relatively easy to repair is the simple fact that a large majority of the stone had been left intact. So, honestly, I don't know. I will eventually get a whitelist properly working to where it won't lock everybody out. But until then, I'm going to just continue taking action towards the people who managed to get on. I will check on a few things. But by the time you guys see this video, I've probably already gone through the thing again, made sure everybody who's not allowed to be on is banned. Handled everything. But yeah, it's just weird that my castle would be destroyed, but not town. Town being in probably the better condition. Like, my castle is just me. There's no, like, the town was entirely made by me. This entire thing out here is made by me with a little bit of help from other people. Like, the walls and everything were helped by other people, but really, the entire keep itself was me. Just laying out the bridge was me, the docks were me. I've got, and like, these two houses here were not me, but like, that one was me, the Tree of Wisdom was me. Like, a large majority of stuff was stuff I made. Really, there wasn't anything to gain from coming out here and destroying this stuff, because honestly, it's all me. I build things so where I can quickly repair them, and honestly, if things are going to get too destroyed, I abandon them and move to a new location that's even harder to find. And frankly, it almost always ends up to where I'm underground in this secret bunker that nobody's ever going to find, but yet it's elaborate enough to where it's essentially an entire metropolis. Because frankly, I'm never simple. I'm always complex. But yeah, Darth Vader's place is still in relatively decent condition. Yeah, it's just confusing that most everything would still be intact. Well, pretty much everything in town was still intact, not even touched at all. And this is the only area that got attacked, and frankly, to a relatively simplistic degree. It's weird. But yeah, honestly, if people just would, if like randoms would not destroy things, honestly, they would never get caught. I'm gonna officially say that now. Is like, if you were managed to get on the server and you did not cause problems for everyone, there's a very high likelihood you would never be caught. And honestly, if you were spotted, but you were not causing issues, we wouldn't care. Like, oh, hey, another person who's playing. Yay. But as soon as you start causing issues, that's when actions are taken. We try and work together on everything. We ask each other for favors. We help each other out. And we'll pull pranks on each other, but we don't do destructive things, honestly. Like, we all live relatively spread out nowadays because our old server, somebody got on it, and because we supplied everybody with creative right away, they essentially covered the entire world with lava. They're in depth. They managed to do a lot of destruction. But so essentially nowadays we're all spread out. We're not next to each other really as nearly as much as we used to be. Honestly, being next to each other is kind of a liability. If you live close to one another, there's a high likelihood that your house is going to get destroyed. That's the reason why we don't live all that close to each other. Like, that was my original house. And compared to town, which was right there, it's actually still ways out. And then my new castle's even farther out. Honestly, if I don't feel like the castle's worth sticking around with, I'll move even farther out. It's just how it works. But yet, somehow, a little community got made near spawn. This tends to be always how it is. Somebody manages to get on, destroys a lot of stuff, and then leaves again. And we all deal with it for a little bit, and then we just kind of move on. But yet, I'm the only person who seems to always move out of the way. If I see that my house is going to be destroyed, I get out. The only reason why I'm somewhat attached to this castle is because I put so much work into actually making it hard to destroy. And I'll have more houses. Frankly, I'll have houses spread all over the place. Like, okay, so when I first started up the server, again, for this world, I built that little house over there. T-Man had his little hut inside the actual mountain there with his mine. And then LPS had just like this tiny, tiny little hut on stilts that you guys probably saw from the hour-long episode I posted a little bit ago. And essentially that was kind of it. We were all a little bit spread out. Everything was super simplistic and very easy to just kind of abandon without really any attachment. I had my mine here where I would always go down to go grab more ore, and I would always go down to find new things. Which inevitably got abandoned once it started being raided more often. Like, there's still like basic stuff in here, honestly. Like, just this chest alone, that's enough for someone who just got on a server to actually start building a life within it, within the server. That's like just the basics, and they'll actually get you off pretty well. But yeah, that goes all the way down to my strip mine, and it was working. But the inevitable issue was being that we were too close to each other, and we knew the results of what happens when we all live close to each other. And I'm questioning why it happened again, is that everybody moved in close to each other. They all have these houses right next to each other, and not only that, but close to spawn. When in fact, you could have someone living way out in the distance, and you would honestly be safe. Yeah. You have to have like a house like sitting right in here, and you'd be perfectly safe. It's very little likelihood that you'd be attacked. Yeah. Anyways, that's kind of the little update. Been doing my best to try and make repairs, but I can only go so fast. Um, yeah, my house, essentially I'm going to have to start from square one on the interior. There's still enough actual cobblestone left on the outside for a majority of the fire to be kind of shrugged off, but the interior's left alone, and I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. The reason why it'd be a good thing is because, frankly, my entire layout in here was kind of bad anyways. The bad thing is that it all got destroyed. But also, another weird thing. It's like, okay, the person came in and destroyed a lot of things. Then there's down here in the basement where we have our alternate little rooms where he'll sleep into. Like, this is T-Man's room. He's got his house off in town where he normally will stay. But this is like his alternate little room to stay in. And this will inevitably be Blush's. But, yeah, nothing down here got destroyed. Like, well, yes, there's not much to see down here. It relatively got left alone. Yeah. I probably need to rethink this. I'm probably not going to rebuild the interior of this in a while. I'm probably going to go off and build something different eventually. Probably tomorrow night. But yeah. That's the update of what's going on the server lately. Although I have heard that T-Man has been thinking about doing a series on the server, meaning that, which frankly, in order to prevent these people from griefing as much, we just need higher traffic on the server. That's frankly how it's gonna have. That's how we're gonna prevent it. I think that's really the best way of preventing it. Is make it where people on the server are on more often. But yeah, my castle's still in relatively decent condition. I've made a few modifications to make it even easier to repair in the future. Otherwise, I might just forget about this for a while and move on to something different. Maybe I'll come back, try and see if I can finish it up. Because honestly, I do these big projects, and normally after I'm done building them, I'll forget them and I'll just sit there. I'll still keep up on them and make sure they're like all in nice condition and such. But yeah, it only really took me about half hour to repair this thing from the entire thing burning to the ground and fixing up all the holes about it. Although, just so you know, T-Man, you're gonna have to fix the redstone system here. All of that got destroyed. Yeah. So there's the weirdness I've been dealing with since I got on. There's gonna be more videos on this in the future, unless you guys say, "Oh yeah, I don't really enjoy your Minecraft videos all that much." Like, then in that case, I'll start taking action. I'll say, "Okay, I'll supply more different videos." But as of right now, I'm currently waiting for everybody to settle down from Thanksgiving and start being able to be worked with. Pretty much this entire weekend, I haven't really had much contact with Blush. And tomorrow, it's gonna not be all that easy. But yeah, that's what's been going on. Anyways, this has been Brain Bucket 8. See you guys next time.